Hey, beloved family of God, it's a terrific Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Let's talk a little bit about what God has to say to us today. Paul is continuing his rebuke and his counsel to the church in 1 Corinthians chapters 5 and 6. And today we look at 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 1 to 11, where he continues to deal with issues. Now he's talking about taking stuff to secular courts that should be handled among the brethren. The title of our lesson is Protecting the Church's Identity. There are some people who don't care about the church's identity. They do whatever they feel like, it's all about me and my relationship with God. Whatever happens with the church happens. That has nothing to do with me. But that's not a biblical mindset or a way that we should really think about the church. The church, we are the church. And we should really do what we can to protect it, to be careful about how we handle it in public, even when it may be wrong, and we need to address wrongs. But how you do it is very, very important because it's God's church. And the identity of the church suffers sometimes when we don't treat the church with respect and treat each other with a certain level of respect, right? So in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, 3, 12, 13, and 1 Corinthians 6, 1 to 13, the Apostle Paul says that there is a matter that has come up, the word pragma. 1 Corinthians 6 and verse 1. Let me read that really quickly. Does any one of you, when he has a case or a matter against his neighbor, dare to go to the law before the unrighteous and not before the saints? So there's even an intimation. There's an intimation here that the apostle is referring to perhaps the case, the civil case between that father, the father in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, whose son is sleeping with his wife, his stepmother, that perhaps this is the case that is the focus of this these verses in 1 Corinthians chapter 6. We don't know it for sure, but what Paul is saying is now you're taking stuff that you have between each other and settling it in the courts. He's saying it's bad enough, right? That you have issues with each other, right? That you get so mad at each other and you're fighting with each other so bad that you actually, can't get along in relationship with your brother and sister as Christians. But then you take it to the world to settle it. You should allow yourself to be wounded. Allow yourself to be defrauded. It's a hard thing that Paul is saying, something most of us will not take. He's not saying be a doormat. He's saying work on it within the fellowship of the faith, if at all possible. And then if you absolutely got to go to the court, that's a different story. But at least the saints who will judge the living and the dead, the saints of God who will judge those in the world, surely they can be qualified and equipped to be judges of what is happening between different saints. Paul addresses litigation. The fact that the case is bracketed by passages that deal with sexual immorality, again, suggests that Paul could be talking about that situation between the stepmother and the father whose son is sleeping with her. Whatever the issue is, the Apostle Paul is making the point in today's lesson that we've got to be careful about the identity of God's church and about how what we do in the secular space impacts him and impacts his church. That's our study today.